have to meet them where they are. I have to understand their starting point, their lens, in order for me to build a bridge to them, not the other way around. That really was a very important revelation in empathy for me. And it's powerful because I may not agree with everybody, but if I can care enough to ask questions and listen and get curious about what their come from is, again, I can create a bridge and a connection. And that's powerful.
That idea of connection, what's so powerful about empathy, that works both inside the organization. So practicing empathy with your colleagues inside of an organization, but also extends to customer relationships outside the organization. And so one of our former Cisco colleagues, Catherine Robinson, in our podcast conversation, and she's in the book also, she talks about the power of customer empathy. So coming at it from a culture of innovation where you're developing products and solutions to solve customer problems. And if you start at a point of really practicing customer empathy, of really seeing things from the eyes and the perspective of the customer, great things can happen in terms of that innovation culture through customer empathy. And then, of course, empathy also is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. So this concept of how do we create better connections in terms of our one-to-one relationships. Steve Gutzler, another guest on the podcast, who's a really strong champion of emotional intelligence, talks about empathy really being the starting point. Seek to understand and really use that as that first step towards being able to create lasting, trusted relationships that are situationally aware. So that's the other element, right, as part of empathy and emotional intelligence, which is life isn't a single static moment. There are different situations, different contexts when we're interacting, and we must be aware and sensitive to the nuances of those different life situations in order for us to achieve the most trusted and lasting connections. So really amazing where empathy comes into play. It's throughout our entire spectrum of our lives.
Yeah, and I love what you said about life is not a single moment. It's an ongoing set of experiences, and that's why implementing empathy into leadership isn't a one-trick pony. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go sit down and ask some robotic questions and I've been empathetic. It's got to become a regular ongoing practice, connecting with somebody and always being curious when you come across that person enough to draw out what's going on for you now. What's been the shift for you, since we last spoke? Is this still important to you? So that we can continue to keep the finger on the pulse of the relationship.
Yes.
Again, whether it is with a customer, whether it's with an internal stakeholder or an internal stakeholder team. I remember spending so much time really when I was in product marketing leadership, spending my time with people all over the world leading sales teams, constantly keeping my finger on the pulse of and asking them questions to understand what was important to them, what was driving them, what were their primary care abouts, what were they hearing from their customers? Because unless I knew those things, how could I possibly serve them?